Yo, what up, everyone? Welcome in. It is another beautiful Friday here in October, and it is time for another Best Bets edition of Snaps, where Aaron has been handing you winners, and I've been struggling to breathe, quite frankly, as I continuously drown each and every week. But you know what always makes me feel better? Just a great Thursday night NFL game, and I loved seeing the continued destruction of Tampa Tom last night, keeping my Saints alive in the NFC South. Aaron Murray, what's up, man? How we feeling on this Friday?
Well, hey, for those who know and love to hear T-Bob bitch and moan about, hey, Aaron gets the first pick because early bird gets the worm mentality. Like I'm gonna get my bets out early in the week, kind of get it figured out. This week we did. I got first pick. T-Bob got second and third pick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For those who hear me bitch about Aaron getting first pick, Aaron got first pick.
I didn't get all three.
Exactly.
I didn't get all three. I didn't get all three first picks, okay? Usually I send my first three in, and T-Bob's like, oh, well, I wanted those picks. Oh, my God, I didn't get them. He sounds just like that, too. And this week we went back and forth. T-Bob got second and third pick. I get fourth. We kind of snaked it. So to make it a little bit more fair, so there's no excuses at the end of the weekend. So T-Bob, were you filling the board? That's the big question. Were you filling the board?
No, because right now I am like a shooter who has the yips. I'm basically the Ben Simmons of best bets right now. I'm all freaked out. I'm questioning my mechanics. I'm like watching film. I'm like Markelle Fultz. I literally have forgotten how to shoot to the point where I didn't even, the real sausage making here is that I didn't even want to go first because your picks have been so good and your reads have been so solid that it is not worth me getting my reads in there and taking any of your games out of there. You are currently 14-10 on the year, Aaron, winning money for the fan base consistently while I sit there at a putrid 9-15. I mean, the math is all off there. Like, you should trip and fall and be closer to 500 than 9-15. So we tried a new approach this week. Very much a clear the mind approach. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not going to look at 17,000 CFP stats pages and try to figure out where the matchups are. Just look at the board, clear the mind. What jumped off? Okay. Aaron Murray. So we give 3 bets every week. That's how this works. Shout out the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Download it if you have not. And if you have not, use the promo code SNAPS. And remember this, though. Whether you're new or an old customer, like last night's NFL game, every single week, FanDuel Sportsbook gives you a free $10 same-game parlay to play. So, juice that thing to infinity and see if you can hit, and you get paid the big bucks. There's no reason not to. It's literally a free bet every single Thursday night football game. So, again, shout out FanDuel, shout out the Volume Sports Network for creating this show, and shout out Papa Colin. Aaron Murray, your first best bet of the week is what?
All right, my first best bet of the week goes to Ole Miss Rebels getting -1.5 versus Texas A&M. And this is just, it's a little bit weird to me. We always talk about what does Vegas know that we don't know? Yeah. And for those who do watch the show, they know that we absolutely despise A&M and consistently rip on Jimbo and company. It seems like it's a daily thing, but he does bring it upon himself, and so does the football team. With everything going on right now at A&M, from how bad they lost last week to I would still say, very average South Carolina football team. I was on the road. I get that. But you didn't look good. Your quarterback, who was not very good, got banged up. You had to play a freshman. You had 3 offensive linemen who are now out for the season. You had 3 freshmen smoking marijuana in the locker room this week who are now suspended. It's a shit show. It is disorganized. It is not a place you want to be. So, I get Ole Miss lost last week. They lost on the road versus LSU, and LSU right now is one of the hottest teams in America. They are playing at a high level. I don't take that away. I don't think as less of Ole Miss as I did before that game. We knew that they are a team that really hadn't played anyone yet. We need to see what they look like against a competitive team on the road. They came out hot. They took an early lead, and they just weren't able to hold on. I still think it's a good football team. I love Lane Kiffin as a coach. I love Lane Kiffin as an offensive guy. I think Jackson Dart and that running game is going to get right this week. I think they're too much for Texas A&M to handle with all the weapons. And once again, this week for A&M, who do you have on offense? It is an offense that has not been able to run the ball. That's kind of Ole Miss's weakness. So if you can't run it, it doesn't really matter. They can't throw it. So I think this is a big bounce back game versus Ole Miss, a get right game, which is crazy that I'm saying a get right game versus A&M with, once again, all the money, with all the resources, all the players. But they're in shambles right now. They're primed for the taking. And I think Ole Miss goes in there and kind of whoops them up pretty good. So I'm a little bit shocked with the 1.5. I'm hoping I'm not getting fooled by Vegas, but it just, to me, it's just too easy.
Well, I mean, look, we talked about it a bit on yesterday's show, but there's a giant disconnect because literally everything you just said is objectively true. So how in the world is not only this thing at 1.5, but got bet down to 1.5, right? Which shows you that there's a lot of money coming in on the A&M side of the equation. I don't know if it's maybe wagon play. Like I don't fully understand it either, but you know what? I will be prepared to be burned. I love this bet as well. The only thing about Ole Miss, and again, we mentioned a bit yesterday, but the only thing about Ole Miss is that we still don't really know who they are, right? Like that was the big thing about last week's game against LSU. That was kind of in a lot of ways going to be their first. Well, I mean, I guess, no, that's not fair. Kentucky's a test, but they maybe didn't do things that just prove to you what type of team they are, especially now with the LSU game sitting there as well. So, like, this is an excellent opportunity for Ole Miss to establish just how good they're going to be for the rest of the season and where they fall into this SEC hierarchy. My first best bet of the week pains me deeply, Aaron Murray. You know me. I married into a family from Morgantown, West Virginia. I love the Mountaineers. I love moonshine. I love when they play Hell's Bells on third down. I love that they have a fur trapper as their mascot. But for once, I have to fade my Mountaineers. And let me tell you, like, I get it. This game, so it's TCU minus 7.5 at West Virginia. And I get it. This game has Trap written all over it. I already mentioned the Trapper mascot, but on top of that, they've had 4 ranked games in a row, TCU has. They have more ranked games on the other side of this. It's a classic sandwich game. However, the problem is West Virginia's defense is awful. They are just so shitty. There is no chance that they are going to be able to stop Max Duggan. Max Duggan is about to turn Morgantown into Duggantown. How about that? Okay, let me look at this, dude. They give up. It was a little lazy, wasn't it? I mean, I did it. It's like it doesn't really work.
Not your finest moment.
It doesn't work in any way except syllabically, like Duggan and Morgan. Like nothing else about it. It really works at all. But I will say this. You know what else doesn't work? WVU's defense. They give up 38 points a game to FBS opponents. They give up 305 pass yards a game to FBS opponents. TCU averages 42 per. Horned Frogs ride. This is TCU's year. Let's keep this train rolling right through West Virginia. Duggan Rhodes, take me home to a nice 7.5 point road favorite cover.
I like that one. I do like that one. All right. My second best bet of the week. I hate picking unders. Like, I don't know what's more stressful, picking unders or picking over, especially with the way college football trends right now with offenses. It's like, I'm rooting for field goals, and I'm an offensive guy. I'm like, kick a field goal, get an interception. Like, it is so stressful picking unders. But like this one,
it's where the sharp money is.
There's a couple unders this week. I'm only going to pick one. I do like 2 of them. Maybe I'll get a second one after my 3 for those who want a fourth bet for the week. But my first under I feel pretty good about is Missouri going to South Carolina. Right now, 46.5. Earlier in the week, it was at 47.5. I believe I texted T-Bob on Tuesday saying, get this bet. He didn't, lost me a point. It's okay. I still feel good about it. Sorry, my bookie.
Well, look, you can't get that point right now either. You can't. Do you want the people to bet it or not? If you want the people to bet it, you can't bitch about the loss of point.
No. I said I still would take the bet. I did take the bet still, even though I lost 1 point. I was more just trying to dig at you anytime I can. All right, so it's at 46.5 right now, and I'll give you my reasonings why I'd like a low-scoring game here in Columbus. Is one, South Carolina has played well. They're playing better. Is this the game that kind of sneaks up on them? I do worry about that. Like, are they ready for this game? Are they overlooking Missouri, saying, "Hey, we're about to be 7-2 over the next 2 weeks. We got Missouri and Vandy," and kind of looking towards the end of their schedule? That's always a little bit of a worry. Last week, only 280 yards versus A&M, and that's a good A&M defense. I get that. They benefited from special teams, Beamer ball, which can always show up. I understand, but are you going to rely on a kick return touchdown? Are you going to rely on your defense and a stupid play by A&M going cadence in the gun, fumble, get the ball inside the 20-yard line, punch in for a touchdown? 14 points are essentially gifted to you from A&M. South Carolina they're okay. They're fine on offense, but I really like Missouri's defense. I think this is a Missouri defense that's giving teams trouble all year long. I go back to what they did versus Georgia, and I've talked to some of the Georgia players, and they said, man, what they do schematically, how good they are in their front seven, it's a challenge. It really is a challenge. So I think Missouri can slow down a just okay South Carolina offense and flip it over to the other side. South Carolina, the fans are feeling great. Sandstorm's going to be loud. The place is going to be bonkers. That's a tough place to play. In Missouri right now is a team that's trying to find their identity on offense. Brady Cook at quarterback, 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Their only playmaker is Luther Burden, a true freshman who has been a true freshman. He's had his good games. He's had his bad games. But really, this is not an offense that should concern anyone ever. So you got 2 okay offenses. You got I would say one of the better defenses in the SEC in Missouri. You got an okay defense in South Carolina, but they're playing at home. So all that to say, like, I don't see a lot of points in this game. And I think that's why you saw it bet down from 47.5 to 46.5. I still like it at that number. I think this game's going to be 20-14, somewhere around there. Yeah. I don't see a lot of touchdowns at all.
That makes all sense in the world, Aaron. That's a great freaking pick, dude. That's why you are 14-10 on the year. And my last pick is probably going to show you why I'm 9-15, but we'll get there in a second. My second best bet of the week, Aaron. What do the kids say nowadays? Vibe check. Okay. Well, I'm going to do a little vibe check with these 2 schools, and that's Arkansas and Auburn. And look, I get it. Both have had their struggles this year. With how Arkansas started, with the great South Carolina win, the great Cincinnati win, I think they maybe felt like they were a bit better than they were in the SEC West hierarchy, and they have had disappointing losses since. They certainly have made an art of finding ways to lose to Texas A&M. It's kind of unbelievable at this point. Like it's a skill, but I still like Sam Pittman. I still like KJ Jefferson. And I think that team still does as well. I think they are still very much bought in, even if they're slightly below maybe what expectations were going to be this year. Although, to be honest, I mean, they have like the hardest schedule in the country. Like, you knew it was going to be tough sledding this year. Mm-hmm. Auburn, on the other hand, so overall, with some disappointment, I still like the vibes over there at Arkansas, and I love KJ Jefferson. Auburn, on the other hand, I mean, earlier in the week we talked about it, bro. It's bad right now. Brian Harsin is very much acting like the jerk that he just looks like, or the angry man that he just looks like. You're seeing kids flee left and right. What is it now up to? 4 kids that left the program this week. That brings us to 32 in the 21 months since he's been there. And I feel you that, surprisingly, amidst it all, the guys that are bought in have still played hard for Harsin, but this week kind of feels like a tipping point when him taking the hard line. You either play or you quit the team, forcing guys out, forcing friends, teammates out. And look, maybe if Auburn comes out and make a couple plays early on, they ride that wave of emotion. But if Arkansas punches him and lands a couple heavy shots, it's a very brittle Auburn team, and the stadium is going to feel toxic. Like, the fans in Jordan-Hare are going to be pissed. They have nothing to be excited about. They're looking at paying for another buyout. They've lost 10 of their 18 players out of the most recent signing class. Their signing class right now is absolutely nothing to write home about. It is as bleak in Auburn as anywhere in college football. And so for that reason, I will be taking my second road favorite of the week. The Razorbacks minus 3.5 on the road in Jordan-Hare. See Aaron Murray, pick number 3.
All right, my third and final pick of the week. I like this one. I don't love this one. I haven't seen enough of the second team yet, but I've seen enough of the first team to kind of feel good about it. Wake Forest, 3.5 point favorites versus Louisville. We are big fans of the slow mesh here at Snaps. I am a big fan of Sam Hartman, along with every other sorority girl in America, and he's on an absolute tear. 21 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and this team's not afraid to play on the road. You know what they did a few weeks back, going on the road and just absolutely spanking Florida State. And guess what? Florida State beat Louisville. So if Wake Forest spanks Florida State on the road and Florida State beats Louisville, what does that tell me? That tells me Wake Forest should beat the living crap out of Louisville. So that's part of my reasoning, and I just really love this football team. Another surprising line, honestly. You know, I was a little bit shocked when I saw it. Like, why does Vegas think this is going to be a closer game than what it is? You know, I've seen Louisville a couple times this year. Was not super impressed with them at all. I know Wake Forest's defense isn't great, but I think their offense is one of the best offenses in the country. So I will take them in that 3.5 points on the road this week versus Louisville.
What happened to Malik Cunningham? Wasn't he like really famous a couple of years ago? I'm always shocked every time I look at.
People found out that he couldn't throw the football. He couldn't throw the football. It's a problem.
I was going to say, I'm always shocked every time I see his name when I'm looking up quarterback ACC stats. Him and man, the year for Devin Leary's just been awful. Very disappointing year for Leary. So I'm sorry, Devin. You had no need to take a stray there. All right. Shout out Sam Hartman and Wake Forest. My third best bet of the week here. I, too, am going a 3.5 point spread here. However, I will be doing something that I don't know that I ever thought I would be doing. I am going to trust a Gene Chizik defense at UNC to handle a Pittsburgh offense that is in shambles. Look, if you look up Pittsburgh's offensive numbers, they are better than where they're at currently right now. I think Louisville just maybe held them to like 10. But, I mean, you start Googling Pittsburgh. There's these headlines. Pat Narduzzi's out here in the media talking about, look, I can't switch quarterbacks. It causes major psychological problems under the team. Trust me. Like Keaton Slovis is the best that we got. You think you got something else? I mean, you tell me, where's the quarterback? So it's pretty bad in Pittsburgh right now. The year started kind of solid. Obviously, they pushed Tennessee to the brink, but they are a team that has descended since that moment. Okay. Mm-hmm. UNC's a team that's been on the rise. You want to talk about quarterback play? Drake May's as sexy as it come. All the freshman does is put up points. He's going to be at home. I have every expectation that I'm going to be cursing, freaking out, yelling as UNC fails to stop a struggling Keaton Slovis time and time again. But I think in the end, Sam Hart's going to find a way. Plus, look, I went to UNC basketball camp for 3 years growing up, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. So in a lot of ways, Aaron, I'm a Tar Heel. In fact, I bought my first ever parental advisory CD while at UNC basketball camp. It was Jay-Z's Big Pimpin'. I remember I had to hide it in the top of my closet so my mother wouldn't find it. So really, when you look at all the elements and you bring them all together, the bet really just starts to coalesce and make sense. I also spent the entire week at 10 years old cursing and flipping people off. Just horrible behaviors that made me feel so guilty that I later, when I returned from camp, laid prostrate, tear-ridden in front of my mother and begged for forgiveness. And she was obviously a little freaked out, didn't know what to say. It was just kind of like, I don't know, go pray or something. But the point is, I'm a Tar Heel for life, Aaron. The T stands for Tar. Tar Bob rolling with the heels this weekend. UNC minus 3.5. That's 3 favorites. That's 3 dubs. Let's do it. Best bets. Any bonus sprinkles this weekend, Aaron?
All right, my bonus little sprinkle, little sprinkles on top is once again another under for me. Is the Georgia Florida game 56.5? I'm going to go under that one. I think I don't trust Florida's offense, and it's a rivalry game. I do think Florida will somewhat show up on the defense side of the football. I think Georgia's still missing some key guys on both sides. That concerns me a little bit, and they just haven't shown me enough running the football where I think they're going to be able to score in the 40s. I think I think I'm a little bit torn if Georgia covers or not, but I think Georgia scores high 20s, low 30s, and I think Florida, is kind of still in the teens. They're just a little bit too one-dimensional. If you're one-dimensional going against an elite defense, you're going to be in trouble, especially when that defense is the best rushing defense in the SEC, which is Georgia. So under 56.5 for Dogs versus them Gators.
Okay, my sprinkle would be this: the two Big Ten big favorites. Okay, I'm taking Ohio State to smash Penn State, and I'm taking Michigan to smash Michigan State. Crazy huge numbers. And I mean, Michigan's like 22.5. I don't love that Ohio State creeped up to 14.5. But bro, Penn State, look, we talked about it on yesterday's show. I know we disagree a bit. I don't know how we're getting there with Sean Clifford at Penn State, but whatever. That's Best Bets. That's a Friday. Catch us tomorrow on AMP after the 3:30 games end, and then tomorrow right here on the Volume Sports YouTube channel. Snaps after the 7 o'clock slate. So what, around 11 o'clock maybe? Either way, we love y'all so much. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Thank you to FanDuel, promo code SNAPS. Thank you to our wonderful producer, Ryan Brumley. Thank you to Colin Cowherd and the Volume Sports YouTube channel. And thank you to all of you, our wonderful friends and listeners and family and everything. And we will see you tomorrow to recap all the action with Snaps.